They said the MVP race was over. They said Nikola Jokic had it locked. But then Shai Gilgeous-Alexander stepped onto the biggest stage of his career and rewrote the narrative. In a series that wasn't just about advancing to the next round, but about validating years of doubt, development, and dominance, SGA dismantled the reigning MVP in Denver Nuggets with a surgical precision that left no questions. Game after game, possession after possession, Shai didn't just show up, he took over. 35 points in Game 7, a defensive masterclass. Leadership that turned a young, unproven Thunder roster into a cold-blooded playoff machine. This wasn't just a star having a good series, this was a franchise player putting an entire league on notice. Forget the flashy narratives, forget the voter fatigue. This is about impact, consistency, and clutch. The numbers back it, the eye test screams it. And after what he did to Jokic and the Nuggets, there's only one conclusion NBA fans can come to. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander isn't just in the MVP conversation, he is MVP. For months, the MVP debate was a two-horse race, Jokic and SGA. Analysts debated advanced metrics, fans went back and forth on team success, and highlight reels flooded social media. But when the dust settled in Denver, only one man stood undeniably taller than the rest. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. This wasn't a regular season award built on narrative. It was a statement forged under playoff pressure. Jokic was the reigning MVP. He was supposed to be the immovable object, but Shai became the unstoppable force. In a must-win Game 7, it wasn't Jokic controlling the tempo, it was SGA dictating the game like a seasoned chess master, reading every rotation, punishing every switch, and picking apart Denver's defense with an icy calm. This is the moment where MVP talk turns from speculation to evidence. No more hypotheticals, no more projections. What Shai just did, beating the best big man in the league, breaking down one of the most experienced playoff teams in the NBA, and doing it with a roster many thought was a year too early, is everything the MVP award should reward. Not just stats, but command. Not just wins, but why those wins happen. Shai didn't ride a system. He was the system. And now, after taking out Jokic on the biggest stage yet, the debate is over. The most valuable player is here, and his name is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Shai spent the entire regular season laying the foundation for what would become one of the most convincing MVP campaigns in recent memory. While the spotlight often gravitated toward flashier narratives or larger markets, SGA quietly and efficiently built a statistical case that was simply undeniable. He led the league in scoring with 32.7 points per game, but this wasn't empty volume shooting. He did it with ruthless efficiency, over 51% from the field and nearly 38% from three. That's guard-level scoring on big man efficiency, a rare blend of craft, control, and killer instinct. But scoring was just the start. SGA consistently impacting every possession, whether he had the ball or not. He wasn't just the Thunder's best player. He was their entire offensive engine, creating spacing, setting the tempo, and dismantling defensive schemes from every angle. His ability to score from all three levels while maintaining a low turnover rate showcased his elite decision-making. No wasted movements, no empty plays, just surgical execution. Then there's the advanced analytics. SGA posted a .316 win shares per 48 minutes, a number that puts him in historical company. Not just all-stars. We're talking Steph Curry, 2016 territory, MJ territory, the kind of season that leaves a statistical footprint for decades. And when you stack his performances against the league's elite, game after game, he didn't just keep pace, he outperformed them. Luka might have had the triple-doubles, Jokic the all-round dominance, but SGA was the most complete, most efficient, and most consistent star in the league. And let's not ignore the historical milestones. 65 straight games with at least 20 points. 59 games with 35-plus points generated through scoring or assists. We're talking about a player who entered conversations reserved for only Wilt, Oscar, and MJ. What made it even more impressive? He did all this without a superstar co-star. Chet Holmgren was a rookie. Jalen Williams is emerging, but not there yet. SGA wasn't riding a super team. He was the team. He turned a young, raw, and relatively untested Thunder squad into the best team in the NBA with a 68-14 record. The top seed in the entire league. The regular season was supposed to test Shai's ceiling. Instead, it showed us his floor is higher than most players' peaks. The stats, the eye test, the win column, they all pointed in one direction. Before he even touched the postseason, Shai had already built the resume of a most valuable player. And he did it in the most difficult way possible, by showing up every single night and delivering at an elite level, with no excuses and no off switch. That's not just MVP worthy, that's the blueprint of a future all-time great. Shai averaged 28.7 points, 6.4 rebounds, and 5.7 assists across the series, shooting over 52% from the field and playing nearly 40 minutes a night. But more than raw production, it was when and how he delivered that separated him. In Game 6, with the Thunder facing elimination on the road, Shai dropped 32 points and took control in the fourth quarter like it was a training drill. Then came Game 7, a moment that defines careers. Jokic was expected to dominate. Instead, it was Shai who took command, erupting for 35 points and setting the tone from the opening tip. He didn't just lead, he overwhelmed. The Thunder crushed the Nuggets 125-93 in what was supposed to be a close-out war. And let's not forget context. Jokic had the experience. The Thunder were the youngest team in the playoffs. This wasn't just about beating a team. This was about beating a dynasty in the making. Shai took on the challenge of dethroning the most consistent force in the Western Conference over the last 5 years, and did it with poise that would make a 10-year vet jealous. Every superstar has that defining series, the moment where you stop asking how good is he and start saying, he's the guy. For LeBron, it was against Detroit in 2007. For Curry, it was against the 2015 Rockets. For Giannis, it was the 50-piece in the finals. For SGA, it's this: the moment he faced Nikola Jokic on equal footing and left him behind. The playoffs didn't just affirm Shai's greatness, they elevated it. And in the eyes of fans, players, and analysts alike, he's no longer just in the conversation, he's the one setting the standard. At this point, it's no longer a debate, it's a coronation. What Shai Gilgeous-Alexander accomplished against the Denver Nuggets didn't just elevate his team, it cemented his individual case for most valuable player in a way no narrative, no voter bias, and no stat-packing season can overshadow. This wasn't just about outperforming Jokic, it was about showing why value in the NBA is more than numbers. It's about impact, leadership, the ability to control the pace of a game, the emotional pulse of a young locker room, and the trajectory of an entire franchise. And Shai just did all three at the highest level imaginable. Let's strip this down to the core. MVP means most valuable. Not best stats in a vacuum, not flashiest highlight reels, but the player whose presence completely alters the ceiling of his team. And hopefuls last season to the #1 seed in the West. And it wasn't because they added a superstar, it's because Shai evolved into the one. No other MVP candidate carried more responsibility on both ends of the floor with less margin for error. He didn't have a Jamal Murray. He didn't have a Kyrie Irving. He had a 21-year-old Chet Holmgren anchoring the paint in his rookie year and still dismantled one of the most efficient offenses in basketball history. And if you want to talk advanced metrics, let's do it. Shai's player impact estimate, PIE/off splits, were staggering. When he was off the floor, the Thunder's offensive efficiency plummeted by nearly 14 points per 100 possessions. That's not just value, that's irreplaceability. Jokic is phenomenal, Luka is brilliant, but remove them from their teams and they still have shot creators, veteran scorers, secondary playmakers. Remove Shai from the Thunder, the whole machine collapses. This playoff series was the ultimate referendum. The Nuggets were the ultimate test, and the results, undeniable. When Jokic, the league's most efficient offensive centerpiece, was stifled by an OKC team feeding off SGA's relentless intensity, that was MVP validation. Jokic isn't just any MVP. He's the most efficient offensive weapon the league has ever seen. He's the guy with a finals MVP, 2 regular season MVPs, and a basketball IQ off the charts. And yet, he got outplayed. Just Shai, running the show with poise, patience, and absolute control. His performance was a masterclass in modern basketball, balancing analytics with the eye test, skill with feel, and stats with substance. And through it all, he stayed true to what's made him elite from day one: humility, hard work, and a relentless focus on winning. This isn't the end of the story, it's just the start of the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander era. An era where Oklahoma City isn't a surprise anymore. An era where SGA isn't underrated or emerging. He's established. He's feared. And most importantly, he's respected by peers, coaches, and legends alike.